Happy fall equinox! It's the time of year where the weather starts getting colder, meaning it's going to be perfect for you to stay inside and play some more board games. Let's find out what's happening in the world of tabletop and board gaming in this week's News Roundup for September 25th, 2023. There are many ways for you to obtain board games, be it from your local friendly game store, trading with other players, or if your GM allows it, pickpocketing. But there's a good chance that at least once you've bought your games online. One of the biggest stores out there that isn't just Amazon was CoolStuffInc. This is where I used to get a ton of my board games, and I know a lot of other people went to get their board games as well. However, recently, really starting around the pandemic, a lot of people noticed they weren't stocking up as much on board games. There are a lot more things sold out, or they just didn't seem to have as much quantities available. And it was leading to this idea that maybe they're not focusing as much there. And it seems to be that is absolutely the case, as they have announced that they're no longer going to be selling in RPGs or board games, focusing strictly in the TCG realm of products. They have had a sale now to sell everything that falls under the other categories for around 70% off. Though when I looked and I heard about it, there wasn't really much left. You can see if there's something that maybe is perfect for you. But for now on, it seems, unless you're wanting to get something that is a card game, or I assume they'll still sell sleeves and playmats, things related to card games, then you're going to have to look elsewhere for your board game needs. Now, I know they have some related companies. I don't know whether they're under CoolStuffInc or whether they're like all equal and just they are all under the same umbrella with Quartermasters Logistics and Direct. And these are still going to be dealing with board games, but to my knowledge, this is much more of like the transfer process of board games. In particular, logistics, I think, is more aimed towards crowdfunding games. So that will still be in place, but it seems in terms of directly selling to the customer, they're no longer going to deal with board games. This is definitely an interesting take. I wonder if it's because they don't feel they can compete with Amazon anymore. Is it because it's just too much of a hassle in terms of the prices? I mean, I know TCGs tend to be selling better because it's a collector's item much more than the board games are. I mean, just take any card game and look at just look at the theft that happened recently. They stole Magic cards. But I'm curious if this is just a one-off and they're just like, well, we make so much more money from TCGs, let's just go over there. Or if this is something that we're going to start seeing more signs of in other online game stores, like either giving up board games completely or just shrinking down what they have available. Right now, like I said, I have no reason to believe it is that more dire situation. But we have seen some board game companies slowly collapsing just this year, but those were more for structural reasons. For now, I'd say that we're probably pretty safe. We can still be able to find whatever board games we need elsewhere. But at the very least, I do think now that CoolStuffInc does need to change their name to Cool Cards Inc. Another group of awards have been given out for board gaming, and this time from the International Game Awards. These were founded in 1999, and as of now, they have 3 awards they give out, one for solo play, one for 2-player, and one for multiplayer. These are decided by a committee that is designed to be, from what I can tell, a bit more picked internationally to have a bit more of a wider focus rather than a specific marketplace like the American or German markets. Now, the winners are as follows. For Best Multiplayer, Revive was able to take it home. For 2-player, we have a game called Orienberger Kanal. And finally, for solo, it is going to Earth. I have not played any of these games, but definitely worth checking out. And they do have a list of the nominees and the other games that you can see that they were up against. But either way, congratulations to all 3 of those games for winning the awards this year. The Star Wars Unlimited TCG is the newest TCG that's going to be hitting the marketplace starting next year. And many people, of course, when it comes to TCGs, want to know what's in there, what's the pricey stuff, what's the breakdown of packs. Well, we now have that information. First, a pack will come with 16 cards. In there, you're going to actually be guaranteed 1 leader, basically the one who's in charge of running your deck, as well as 1 base and a foil card. A pack is going to be made of 16 cards. First, 2 of those cards are a guaranteed leader and base, basically the starting cards of every deck. You're going to need 1 leader, 1 base. This means they're going to become probably very puntable, and at least their base versions are. Well, that's a little asterisk we're going to get to in a little bit. So that shouldn't be too hard to find whatever card you need to start building your deck. Now, in terms of the rest of the cards, 9 of them are going to be common, 3 are going to be uncommon. This sounds very like most TCGs. One slot's going to be either rare or legendary. And then finally, there's going to be a slot for a foil. This foil can be anything: base, the leader, the rare, legendary, common, anything. So it's a foil, but all options. But there are two special treatments that can be mixed up in all this. First, they're hyperspace. Basically, these have like little white lines, like, when you go into hyperspace, but it's more or less the full art of whatever the card is. Then there's showcase cards. These are going to be actually different art pieces and are going to be very rare. Overall, I actually have the breakdown here. I'm going to quickly go over in case you're curious. For all the nice, pretty stuff, to get a legendary, they should come between 1 out of 8 packs you open. And for hyperspace, technically 2 out of 3 packs you can open should contain one, but that means any card that has a hyperspace treatment. So if you're looking for something a bit rarer with the hyperspace treatment, that will come only out of 1 out of 15 packs. That's for the rare and legendary ones. Then for a foil rare or legendary hyperspace treatment card, that's going to be 1 out of 50. And finally, for those showcase one, they say 1 out of every 12 boxes. So those are designed to be the super rare, hard to get cards. So from that breakdown, we can see that there is plenty of ways for you to get the main cards you need to build a deck. And at least everything has a chance to get that hyperspace treatment, meaning that if you want to have even the prettiest versions for all your common cards, then you can still hunt those down too. But they still have those showcase ones, which is supposed to be 1 out of every 12 boxes. So they're going to be probably pretty rare and going to be big chase cards. Now, the question will be, how will this game do once it's released? Whether it's going to sell off the shelves just as fast as Disney's Lorcana, but we'll have to wait and see until the start of next year. Wizards of the Coast just had their MagicCon in Las Vegas, which not only had a World Championship tournament, but also dropped a bunch of fun news. So first, congratulations to Jean-Emmanuel Deprez for his Esper Legends deck winning the World Championship, but they also showed off news of some new special Beyond Universe cards. So if you're interested in any of these properties, you may be able to pick up Magic card versions of them. First, we've got the Princess Bride, as well as the Evil Dead. These are not going to be unique cards of those characters, rather just alternate art treatments, and technically the name looks different, but it counts as another card. It's one of the ways they treat some of the Beyond Universe cards. Either way, you can still play with some of your favorite characters from those properties. But then they also showed off Jurassic Park cards, which are actually going to be featured in the new set. These are new and unique, so you can actually play as some of these dinosaurs or humans in your deck. Finally, and the main reason I bring up all this Magic stuff was a bit of an update to the previous story. I talked about the late Sheldon Menery last news roundup, who helped create Commander. They showed off a piece of artwork featuring him and saying that he will be featured on a card. We don't know whether it'll be a unique card, or for example, maybe his own legendary creature, or rather alternate art to an already existing card. But based on the art, it does look like it is inspired by Silverquill, which is from their magical kids school universe, one of the houses you could be a part of. But Sheldon did play a part in building the Silverquill pre-constructed deck you could buy right away. So a nice nod to some of the work he helped in Magic the Gathering. We'll have to see whether he'll be running your decks or be a staple in a card in all your decks involving that color identity. So it seemed a lot of fun stuff there. A big tournament, lots of fun new properties joining Magic, and a great homage to someone who was one of the biggest influences for Magic the Gathering. And one quick news story before we go into game announcements. Rose Gauntlet Entertainment has announced the creation of a non-for-profit titled Rose Gauntlet Foundation. The goal of this foundation is to support underrepresented voices, as well as help with diversity, inclusion, and equity in the world of board gaming and tabletop. If you follow Rose Gauntlet Entertainment, this probably seems like a natural step that they would take. They already have the BIPOC Lounge at Gen Con, they got their Game Changers program at Origins, and they've got their big gay dinner at PAX Unplugged. So they already do major events trying to push and help with diversity at conventions, but it seems this non-for-profit sort of help with all the other days of the year. If you're curious to learn more, I'll have a link down below where you can learn more about this nonprofit as well as make a donation. Game announcements, we got a ton of stuff. First, Marvel Zombies announced a new core set as well as a bunch of expansions. I'm going to have to list them here on my phone really quick. First, we've got the Marvel Zombies X-Men Resistance core box. This one, if you couldn't guess, is going to be X-Men themed, where you try to play as the heroes to fight off the zombies and of course try to save people and become more powerful. But then we have a bunch of expansions. First, we've got the Hydra Resurrection. This one is going to be focused on Red Skull actually trying to bring zombies along and do his old Hydra shenanigans. Then we've got the Guardians of the Galaxy set, which is going to bring Thanos and the Guardians of the Galaxy, so space zombies. Then Fantastic Four Under Siege is going to bring the Fantastic Four. Then finally, which actually might be the most interesting, at least from the descriptions I read, there's the Clash of the Sinister Six. This is going to bring in those main Spider-Man villains, but also introduces a team battle mode. So you can sort of go head to head with another player with your team of living or dead heroes. Then we've got Molly House, this one focusing on fighting for the queer community in 1700s London. Now, Pokemon has a new set that we've learned more details about, the Pokemon Classics. This will feature 3 decks, each of them using the original starter cards as the stars of the decks. Now, this is obviously aimed as nostalgia for those like myself who grew up with these cards when they first came out. And it seems to be priced with those people in mind as well, assuming that they have the disposable income if you're willing to shell out $400 for these 3 decks, as well as some extra promos and some deluxe components. Food Chain Magnet is now getting a special edition from Lucky Duck Games. That should go on crowdfunding soon, so keep an eye out for that. Yokohama, that was originally from Tasty Minstrel Games, is going to get a new edition. So if you missed out when Tasty Minstrel went out of business on getting that game, you'll be able to pick up this new one, which has new art, but from what I read, is going to keep all the mechanics intact. Then we have a new Final Fantasy VII game, which I'm going to need my phone for this because it's a title. The official title is Final Fantasy VII Remake Board Game Materia Hunter. So if you're a big fan of the remake, you can try and pick this one up. And finally, I just thought some people might find this interesting. There was a new One Piece Netflix show, and apparently they're going to make a promo card for the One Piece card game of the Luffy from the show. You can pick it up by simply taking part in a Seal tournament event starting around November 24th. But if you're not a fan of the live action show, the same promo will have normal Luffy art available as well from the sound of it at these events. But that is all we have this week. Let me know your thoughts on any of these stories. Are you excited for any of these game announcements this week? Would you have gotten them from CoolStuffInc if they were still selling board games? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, but for now, I'm Will, and I'll see you next time on the News Roundup.